What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Founder Academy. I am Mark, the FUT founder, and this is actually the second time I'm recording this because my girlfriend called on FaceTime and it ruined the whole video. How dare you call me when I'm recording, I said. Actually, I didn't say any of that because I'm afraid of her and she'll just, she'll beat me up or something like that. I'm actually wearing her shirt, funny enough. This is not her. She's not Homer Simpson. But this is a shirt that I got her as a gift. So, funniest thing about my girlfriend is that she, like, I can't buy her a shirt that will be like a girl's shirt. She'll not wear it, and then she'll end up wearing my clothes. So now, in order to get her a shirt that she'll wear, I have to buy a shirt for myself, and then wear it, and then she'll steal it. So, the older I get, the less I understand about women. So, I mean, that is what it is. Also, you'll notice I'm very clean shaven, which is something that I just had to do. I have to like clean my face off. My skin gets irritated if I have a beard for too long, and it's probably just good for your skin to just give it a good cleaning. But I don't necessarily suit not having a beard. I've had one for so long, so I look like a baby-faced old man, I guess. I don't know. That's the best analogy I could give, but whatever. It is what it is. So back to the actual game itself, what you guys are here for, right? So you're here for some FIFA. So what are we doing in FIFA, right? So we are 2 days out from Futmas. Not Futmas, sorry, Freeze. We're 2 days out from Freeze. I actually miss Futmas. So for those of you that don't know, Freeze is what used to be Futmas. So Futmas was one of my favorite promotions throughout the entire year. It would exist for, I think it had been around for about 10 years. The reason they removed it was because it had religious connotations, obviously with Christmas being a Christian holiday. They wanted to remove anything that would be considered a hot button topic. And it's fallen by the wayside, and they've replaced it with just a winter-based promotion, which is FUT Freeze. Now, I could care less really what the branding is. I liked Futmas as a concept. I liked it because it was it had cool cards, but I really liked it the most because it was like the advent calendar, right? Which I don't think people really care what holiday it's associated with. You can do the advent calendar, name it whatever you want, but it was like 25 days of Futmas, which is really what made that promotion so good. So 25 days of Freeze, call it, right? But day one, you'd have guys with the number 1. They would be like the keepers, for example. And then day 2, let's say like a Kyle Walker, for example. And they would have 3 SBCs, and you could do all 3 if you wanted. But it was just kind of like the first giving back to the community. And I liked it a lot because it was 25 days. You could do upwards of 75 SBCs and have these really cool cards in your club. And it was a way for them to, in EA's side, like coin sink a whole bunch of guys that had a ton of coins or fodder sitting in their club. They've removed it, and they've just made it like this money grab promotion, just like every other one, where they release a team, they'll release a whole bunch of overpriced SBCs, and it doesn't have the same value to me. Like, it's only going to last a week, maybe 2 at the very most, but they've gotten rid of all those like cool 25 days of SBCs and having multiple SBCs. The SBCs have just been so crap this year. Like, they've been crap. I don't care what anyone says. Like, the cards, you have to really be like one of these guys that just does SBCs all the time. And I've got a few of them in my friends list here that like will just do almost every SBC. Like, you can tell that like the coins players burn a hole in their pocket, I guess, figuratively speaking. They don't like having I don't want to say they don't like having the cards in their club, but they guess they get FOMO, so they end up doing all these SBCs, and they're just like, oh, it'll make a great super sub. And if the best quality of a card is it being a super sub, it probably says a lot about whether you should do it or not. Like, I don't mind having 1 or 2 super subs, like a Dybala or something would be a card that I would probably do. He might not fit in my team, but I'd probably keep him on the bench just because I'm a big fan of his in real life. But other than that, like, if there was just like some card that I'm halfly interested in or partially interested in, halfly's not a word, but partially interested in, I wouldn't do it just because it's a good super sub. You're just going to have a bench or a club filled with a bunch of cards that are going to quickly fall behind the curve. Like all the freeze cards, I don't know anyone that used freeze cards really upwards even a month after the freeze promotion last year. Like I think the big card to come out of that was like the Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and it was like most people didn't even do it because it was so overpriced. So name me a card. I'd be really interested. Name in the comments. Name a card that you remember from that FUT freeze promotion that was even close to being in your team at the end of the year last year, because I don't remember any. I just think that they're all kind of worthless. They're crappy players that nobody really wants. Like I don't want to be rude saying that, but like really, let's be real. Like even with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, like he's a popular player. He's a United player, so United obviously a very popular club. But there's not a ton of people that really care about having Aaron Wan-Bissaka in your club. Like almost everyone uses like Kyle Walker as a right back, right, from the EPL because he's just fast and he's strong. Like Aaron Wan-Bissaka has already fallen behind the curve, and that's for the most part going to be like 90% of the FUT freeze promotion cards. Is that like you're hoping that there's going to be one or two that you can get, but they're going to be really overpriced. Like Marcus Rashford, I think, was one of the ones that I saw in the leaks. And he's going to be like 1 million coins, and all the other ones are going to be like random guys that play for like Palermo or, you know, I don't know, Sevilla or something like that. Like just cards that people don't really care about. They might be like, oh, that's cool, but they'll never use them. And that's the short of it, the short and sweet of it. So I'm not really overly looking forward to it. The biggest thing with FUT Freeze that I'm excited about is, from what I understand, it's going to be the release of the Prime Icons. So Prime Icons are really a big milestone in the year, because at the end of the day, there's people that still use some of the babies and some of the mids, but for the most part, people like the primes, right? So Baby Eusebio, big card, any Pele, like mid Hullet is usable. For me, I ended up picking up Clarence Seedorf's mid. He's the best version of that. But other than that, like, there you go. We pick up Clarence Seedorf. But yeah, other than them, like, almost every version is, like, the Prime is the ideal version to get, right? If you're getting any single card. Like, even Pele, Prime Pele is the best. Prime Maradona is the best. Prime Cruyff is the best. Even Puskas, right? Like, I love this Puskas baby card. I don't think it's really that much different than his Prime, to be honest with you. But the Prime is better. Like, I would probably still pick out the Prime if I had the choice between the two, right? So, this is what the team is actually looking like at the moment. Obviously, we change it to a 4-2-3-1 in-game. But we're going to get rid of that Foden. We're going to throw in that Clarence Seedorf. And we ended up upgrading our David Alaba. It was only a couple tens of thousands of coins, I guess, to upgrade from the Inform to that Ones to Watch. So the Ones to Watch obviously will get upgraded if he gets another one. But it had the Wins to Watch, so he took another step above the Inform version. So the squad is looking good. Obviously, when we see teams like this, we know what is going to happen. We're not going to be coming up against the most ideal opponent. That first game, we ended up winning 10-0. That really just had to do with the fact that that opponent was just, he wasn't the best defender. We were only up 2-0 at the half, but once the floodgates opened, it was just mayhem, and he just couldn't stop it. And really, he was just trying to like run through my team, I think, to get, sorry to fix my sock there. He was just trying to run through my team to get any goals, and all it was causing him to do was turn the ball over, and I could just 1-2 pass through his entire team, and we were just scoring goals at will at that point because his team was so far through the floor. So we come up against this guy. We've now got Seedorf in the squad, and I knew that, you know, with this guy, we just needed to get at least one goal, and then he would probably rage quit. But what we don't want to do is start beating him, but we can't score, because then he'll quit out at 0-0, and we don't end up getting anything for it. So now that I have the first goal, I'm not too worried about it. But also at this point, once you realize that he's not backing out, you realize you got to get a second goal, because he could easily equalize, and next thing you know, we're in a battle against a team that's got a bunch of bronzes. But this guy's team was just so poor. He was so offensive. I think he was playing a 3-5-2 with a bunch of bronzes and almost no chemistry. So there was really nothing that this guy was offering, as you can see here. I don't know what he was doing with that. I think I just left the entire game in here just because that's how quick this game was. But yeah, just the 1-2 passes. To be honest with you, I was really surprised that this guy was even in Div 9. to be totally honest. I guess it's not that hard to get out of Div 9, but with that team, credit to him for even getting the couple wins to get out. I don't know if you can do that by just, I guess you can't get promoted by just losing, right? So this guy must have beaten someone at some point. I mean, if there's any skill-based matchmaking, I guess there's other people that are really just starting their team too. But as you can see, like, he's never going to beat me with icons in my squad. So we got 4-0 after 12 minutes, and then he ends up quitting out. So that's the second game, a bit of a nothing game. I don't really consider that to be too much of interest, but I just thought I would include that in the video because I wanted to show you guys the progression and how we do. And I'm just recording basically everything that is online, even the short games. If it's a 0-0 game, the guy just quits out before it even starts, I won't include it in the video, but for the most part I'll include stuff like that because I want to see any added wins that we get. This third opponent we come up with, he's got an okay team. This guy was actually a decent player for the most part, and you'll see why. His team I didn't look at and think that there was going to be a whole lot going forward that he was offering. He had a couple okay pieces in there. I think he had Joe Gomez, he had Regulon, so you could tell this guy knew what he was doing. He knew at least how to build a team in terms of having like some pacier players. However, we just caught him like right off the jump. We just started attacking him, and I don't think he knew what to do. He was kind of worried, or you could tell that there were some nerves or whatever it was, but he was just running guys out of position. And then Puskas does that. Puskas is just a phenomenal card. He's like having a Messi that's been upgraded about 3 or 4 times. Obviously that like the base Messi, I don't necessarily encourage people going out and getting Messi's Messi, but he's already, in my opinion, fallen behind the curve a little bit just because he's not he doesn't have that stamina, he doesn't have that strength, and we're starting to get some slightly better cards that are coming out, so Messi's starting to fall behind. But once you get a couple informs in him, or especially like a team of the year, once the team of the year has come out, like that Messi is going to be absolutely outrageous. He'd be a card that I would love to get. But this Puskas is like having he's in between a team of the year Messi and like an upgraded version. He's kind of in that middle ground, the baby version of Puskas. Absolutely thunderous left foot. He can score with his right, he just doesn't end up shooting anything with his right. I think he's got the outside of the left, or he's got the outside of the foot trait, so he shoots with his left a lot. But there's something about icons, they just hit different, right? Like they are, I don't even know how to describe it. They just have like this ball retention attribute. Like they're just stronger. I don't know if it's like their body styles that cause it. Like even there you see with Seedorf, like they just feel like there's more weight to them, and they can just go into tackles, and you feel like they exude more confidence, right? Like they are just built different. That's the best way for me to describe it. I know that's not the most articulate way of putting it, but they are just built different. They're just really, really good cards, and I'd recommend, if there are any icons you can afford. No, I wouldn't go out and get like a Filippo Inzaghi necessarily, or a John Barnes or a Nakata or something, but if you can afford one and you're comparing it versus a base version of another card, I would go with the icons. I think having 1 or 2 icons in the squad just make your team that much better, right? In critical positions. The one icon that I've actually been disappointed with, though, has been Iker Casillas. Now, Iker Casillas was a card that I had really high expectations for. I'm a big fan of Iker Casillas from his real life in real life playing days, I guess you'd say. So I was excited to see him become an icon. However, his card is just not good. He's too short, and that's the unfortunate reality. As much as I hate to say that, like I've said this a million times, the 2 biggest attributes for keepers are 1, their height, and then 2, their positioning. Now, Iker Casillas has really good positioning, but as you can see, he's just missing. Like he's missing shots that a taller keeper would save, and I just really attribute it with its height. EA hasn't figured out a way to make shorter keepers more agile necessarily. They score them the same, or they rate them the same as they would higher rated, or even just not higher rated, but taller keepers. And for some reason, they don't understand that like the shorter guys need that kind of boost increase to make the card better. So there's a reason that Iker Casillas was able to survive and become an icon with his height. It's because his agility, his reflexes, his positioning is that much better than a tall keeper. Like, I think that his positioning should be even better than, let's say, even like a Van der Sar, because a Van der Sar is going to have the advantage of being a taller keeper in the game. But if you have the same positioning on both of them, you got to go with Van der Sar because he's got that height. He covers more of the net. And you're going to see in this game, actually, sorry, the next game, the reason that I ended up selling Iker Casillas, that last one, we ended up winning 6-3 because the guy he understood enough about the game mechanics to know how to break it. And what I mean break it is just take advantage of the custom tactics in the game, which really means that he knows how to really just spam attack, right? So when you're down and you need a goal, like you're really just going ultra attacking, high aggression, it just breaks the game. EA don't have a counterbalance to it. You have to kind of try to work your way out of it, which is possible, but it just causes defensive breakdowns, which is always going to be the biggest issue. I understand why they do it, because they want teams to get back in the game if they utilize that tactic. But it's frustrating when you're trying to hold a lead and you can't hold the lead because there's no counterbalance to it that has that effect, right? You can't, ultra defensive does not properly defend it. So if your opponent goes ultra attacking, ultra defensive should allow you that ability. However, it doesn't, because it makes the defenders too dumb. When your opponents are super aggressive and super attacking, there's no answer to it. The only thing you can do is just keep the ball away from them and hope to survive. That's really it. You might be able to get the odd counterattack goal, which I was able to do against my opponent. But if he hit a team even remotely close to me, I would have probably drawn him, maybe even lost, because his team was so aggressive and my team fell through the floor, and I just had to hold the ball and keep it away from him. So you don't make passes really unless it's literally you can stand right in front of your guy and you can see that passing lane is as clear as day. If there's any chance that ball will get intercepted, the player will either play it into a bad space, he'll play it into the defender, or it'll just bounce off his foot, or your player will just stand there and the defender will come and round the player receiving the ball and steal it and run away from it. So you really have to keep the ball away. This is a perfect example. Even in this game, this guy did this too. You can see the amount of attackers that he's got. He's just going high pressure, and look at the defending, right? They're not doing anything properly. Iker Casillas spills the ball there. So it's dumbed down almost everything that I do. I try to make a pass. Of course, there was there was a defender in the lane there. But simple stuff like that, you can't work your way out of it, because your opponents will buzz around like bees and they'll just intercept everything, and then your passing accuracy falls to the floor. So it's making erratic passes. It puts your players under duress and they can't handle it. And you can't do anything other than just hold the ball and keep it away from your opponent. So you just have to be really evasive and left stick dribble and just hope that, he won't catch you. So this is a good example of it, right? Just keep the ball, like the shooting falls to the floor, the passing falls to the floor. So everything that I'm doing, balls are bouncing off of my players. So that's why everything that I'm doing, it's just holding as much possession as I can. Don't pass it unless you absolutely have to, right? So simple passes, but they're all to feet. Everything is only to a player that's in between. The ball is literally in between two players. Like if there's even a chance that pass is going to get intercepted, the pass will go astray, or you'll get the pass intercepted because the defender will be too aggressive. It is just really frustrating. It's something that you can't avoid, so you just need to know how to play out of it. It's possible, but you're probably not going to score a bunch more goals unless you counterbalance with attacking. But if you got two teams that are ultra attacking, the team that's losing will get the advantage, right? They'll get more of the 50-50 balls. So you have to be very careful. You have to know what you're doing, right? It's a very tactical game to play. But it's frustrating because you can be up 4-0 and you're in total command, and all the guy has to do is just switch that on, and now you're just literally holding on for dear life. That's all you're doing. You can't score any more goals. You can't play attacking. You can't play calm because your players have gotten dumb and they've fallen under duress. So this is the final game of the video. Very interesting team. The teams are getting a little bit better. This guy's got A Bundesliga EPL hybrid, which I thought was really fascinating. I don't know if he was doing an objective there, but he's got Van Dijk in there. He's got, I think, Joe Gomez. He had that special Gundogan card, and then he had like Robert Lewandowski. I think that Reina is one of those Adidas ones that has like 99 pace. I remember him causing some issues with that Reina card, the American kid. He was just, yeah, it's really bizarre. Like, normally Americans, I can't even remember an American card that's really ever been usable, I dare say, in any FIFA, with the exception of Marvel Wynn when he was a center back. But this card's like an aberration. He's like this one-off that is just very, very usable because he's got the 99 pace. So, yeah, definitely worth doing. Or worth trying out if you want to pick him up. And he ends up scoring this like just wonder strike with Lewandowski, and I thought, oh no, this might be a long game. This guy scored right off the bat. Does he know something that I don't know, which is like a finesse shot off of an inside curler? But we end up getting back into the game here. Obviously, we got a little bit lucky there. Very FIFA related goal, shoots off the keeper. Nobody reacts to it except for my striker, and just hammer it into the empty net. This was a really tight game in the first half. He ends up making a really professional foul here. Puskás steps up. I thought I had this like 100%. Free kicks are very hard to score. I was feeling really confident about that one. However, he bangs it off the wall. But we end up getting a goal here with all people. Eder Militao with a terrible shot. I don't know what his keeper was doing. His keeper fell over. And as you can see there, he started juggling off the kickoff. I don't know if he got frustrated. I'm sure he did, because I don't think the game was really I don't think it was really one-sided either way. It was really back and forth, but I ended up picking up 2 goals right back to back, and because he was playing a little dumb, I ended up sneaking in a third one there with my man Clarence Seedorf. Seedorf, another card that really happy to have. He is not worth the price I paid for him, I'll put it that way, but you've got what I call, again, that the dreadlock tax, which is having that really cool hair in the game where everyone likes people with long hair because the hair flows, and it's a cool animation to have in the game. So I think that obviously makes that card a lot more higher price than it is. And for the people that are playing this, a lot of that demographic grew up watching Clarence Seedorf. He was kind of in that wheelhouse, right? So for me, my favorite player, if not one of my favorite players of all time, if he isn't my favorite player of all time, he's one of them, up there with like the Diego Maradonas of the world. So he was a card that I wanted to get, and because he's probably going to be out of packs soon because the primes are coming out, that's why I wanted to pick him up. So that's why I had to overpay in order to get him into the squad. That last goal that you saw is the reason that we ended up selling Iker Casillas. So I mentioned it earlier on, but I was rambling there, so I didn't get a chance to actually comment over it. Phil Foden, with his right foot running away from goal, hammers it. He just goes cross body from the byline and smashes it right above Iker Casillas' head. I was incensed at that goal. I don't know why that went in. That should never have gone in, but that to me was the deal breaker. And that wasn't even like a height issue. That was just like he didn't even react to it. So I don't know. Maybe it was just because I was like barely holding on to anything of interest with him by a thread. Like any rationale to hold on to Iker Casillas was, I was at my wit's end with him, and then when he ended up scoring that, I was like, all right, that's it, I'm getting rid of this card. Like, he's 300, I think at the time he was almost 400k. When I was checking, he was like 389 at one point or something, and I was just like, you know what, 400k for a keeper that's not very good, I'm getting rid of this. Especially when there's so many better cards out there, right? Like, look at Puskás, and I get it, Puskás is 3 times his price, but like, look at the difference he makes, right? Just marauds forward. He's got such fantastic positioning. His pace is amazing. His shooting is amazing. His passing is amazing. He's only got 3-star weak foot, but he shoots everything with his left foot anyway, and he's got that outside of the foot trait, so it doesn't even matter. But those cards make a difference. Even Clarence Seedorf, you're noticing him. He's just a bulldog in the midfield. He's just a workhorse. He's a great card to have. But Iker Casillas is just not good. He's just too short. Like, there you go, 5.7. it was frustrating because I really wanted to like him. I really wanted him to be the keeper that I was going to keep in the game, but unfortunately, he's just not usable. So, like for example, you can go out and get Allison, who's the same rating, 89 rated, I think was what Casillas was, and he's 1/10 of the price. So I get it, he's not an icon, but I mean at this point in the game, like 400k is 400k, and you can get a lot for 400k. So I was very quick to sell him, and I was just like, I'm done with this. I don't want to have that much tied up into a keeper that is not going to perform. So you'll see that in a sec. We ended up selling it off along with some other stuff, and you'll see what we pick up for the next episode. But I left this in just because I wanted to show what the packs were like. I was just so frustrated with the packs because, like, Lamar, I've packed probably 25 times already this year, because they've got all these packs, like the rare players packs and the jumbo player, rare jumbo packs, or whatever they're called. Jumbo rare players, and the ultimate packs, they have like a minimum rating of 83. So like guys are packing 83s over and over and over, and they're becoming the most worthless cards in the entire game because there's so many of them. Like João Felix, I think I've packed 25 times already. 25! Even David Silva, an 85 rated card, I've packed him at least 5 or 6 times. And there's other guys that I haven't packed at all. Like, I haven't packed a ton of guys, but I'm getting the same players over and over and over, and it's just a huge frustration for me with EA and the way they approach their pack method. We've talked about it at nauseum, but I'm tired of the way they view this as, like, instead of getting, less packs, but packing some cool stuff in every one and getting like $100 every month, they just want you to get pennies and open up a ton of packs and get pennies every pack and just build up your bank account with pennies until you have enough to actually be able to afford something good. I would rather have less packs and more good players in the pack than I would getting all of this garbage over and over and over. Like, look at some of the duplicates, right? Like multiples of some of these guys, right? And this is just from like one trade list. Like there, a bunch of Alex Telles's, like I've had a couple long lays, some Sule's. Like you'll get the same guys over and over and over and over and over, and it's like, I'm tired of getting these same players, man. I don't like, how many do you need on the market, right? Like you don't need all this, and it's just ridiculous the way they've handled pack weights. I'm so tired of it. But we ended up selling all this, and the reason that I kept that in there was because I wanted to show where a lot of that coinage came from, where it went, and what we ended up spending it on was this man right here, Virgil van Dijk. We ended up picking up his inform for 376, and we picked up Allison to hard link with him. So that is going to be the team we are taking into Rivals in the next game. But that is going to be the end of the video, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me to the very end. And until next time, guys, take care. Peace.